So in today's sessions, I'm going to show you how I encourage my students to become more independent learners. So I'm going to focus on Key Stage 4 students, as I have two bottom set Year 11s and a Year 10 mixed ability class. So the purpose of this video is to show you how I encourage my students to become more engaged with their learning, and also how they can reduce the gap in the learning that happened during the lockdown. So in September, when they came back, so my students have initially identified the main areas for the improvement, and it was essentially following a baseline assessment that was set for them. They also had to complete a self-evaluation task that helped them identify those areas for improvement on their subject knowledge, but also the grammar and the content that they should have covered from Key Stage 3 and also at the beginning of Key Stage 4. So as I provided them with the useful resources that they could use as well, and also I giving them instruction to submit evidence of their independent task on the regular basis. So I have organized this session on 6 different steps, so I'm going to go through all the steps with you, and I'll show you how I managed to get them to get to the point where they are submitting their work. Now, step 1, so in September, as I said, they completed a self-evaluation task where they identify areas for improvement. So on the left-hand side, you can see the Key Stage 3 subject knowledge audit that gives them a list of basic grammar structure that they should have covered in Key Stage 3, or they should be familiar with. So on the SK1, so subject knowledge 1, in September, they rag all the different statements. So red for need immediate attention, orange, they're slightly confident in this area, and green, they feel very confident in this area. So all my students, my Key Stage 4 students, completed the self-evaluation sheets. And also I have a online version of that I've shared with them in the Google Classroom. So it's a pixel document that I've actually adapted for them. So I've used the GCSE content. So it's listed all the theme that they should cover in Key Stage 4, Theme 1, Theme 2, Theme 3. And also give them the grammar skills as well. So all the skill that they should have for them to achieve their exam. So I've shared this knowledge organizer, I would call it, online with them as well, so they can actually do their own self-evaluation there. Now, the subject knowledge audit, they've done it in September. It's stuck in their book, and it's all there for them, so we can refer to it when we do the review for subject knowledge 2. So that's the first step. So following this self-evaluation, they also completed a baseline assessment for me. So I give them a reading task, a reading, listening, and writing task at the beginning, covering different topics. So following the baseline assessment, we come up with some target as well. So the way I've done this, I've organized an Excel document. So on this document here that is actually live for my students, I've recorded the baseline challenge feedback. So I've populated it on the areas for improvement target, the teacher's assessment, and I've also inserted a link that they can actually go straight on, so they can work on the target. Let's say student number 5 over here in 10L has a target of possessive adjective. They can literally click on that language guide organizer, French, and they go straight into there and they start working on their possessive adjective. Now, if you're concerned about GDPR, you can actually give your students numbers instead of having their names there, because this document is shared with all my students, so they can see who's working on what target, and they can liaise with them if they need to, so they can work on the same document or the same target. It doesn't really matter. It's having all the document there so everyone can see who's working on what, and they can help each other as well. Okay, so that's step 2. So they've got their smart target. They can actually decide to work on target 1, 2, or 3. They can populate this personal one based on their self-evaluation, or they can decide they work on the teacher's assessment target and then start working on those. Now, step 3, Now they start working independently on this target. I have set my classes on Google Classroom. I have actually downloaded all my lesson PowerPoint for them, so they've got access to all the lesson we've covered in class, so they can go over them to consolidate, or if they were absent, they can see what's been covered in class and go over them in their own time too. But I've also organized these folders. So if, let's say, they're working on their target is vocabulary, they need to use high vocabulary or improve their vocabulary. So they can actually access all of that on Google Classroom as well. As I set my different folders, I created different folders. If they're working on grammar practice, they just click on the grammar practice folder and there's resources for them straight away. There's a magic grammar booklet they can work on paper-based. If they're working on their conjugation, they can also click on there and they've got different links that they go straight on and they start working on their conjugation for reflexive verbs or any areas that they need to work on. It's all organized for them by skills. All they have to do is to click on there and the resources is there for them. Okay, so this is step 3, so they work independently. Now, when it comes to submit their work, so this is step 4, my students can submit their works in any formats that they want to, but they have to do that on a regular basis to show that they're actually working towards their targets. So, for instance, I've got these students here in a Spanish class who submitted their first target, expand my vocabulary in Spanish. So she listed all the work that she's done and all the percentage that she achieved for this task. So you don't have to mark anything. That's the beauty of it. And on the right-hand side, you can see all the smart targets, all the screenshots for the percentage as well. Another student is using the recommended revision guide that I've shared with them. So she actually working on reflexive verbs. She completed the task and emailed me the screenshot of that task as well. So my student can literally email me like a screenshot of the work on the laptop, or on their phone. So I've got more example here, so they can go to Google Doc if they want to, working on possessive adjectives, and it's fine. They can send me work they've done on the exercise book. This student, for instance, is working on ER verbs, RE and IR verbs, so present tense, regular, common verbs in French. So she decided to write all of them down, conjugate them in the book, and then send a screenshot of the work. Another student decided to do the work on their phone, so she emailed me a screenshot of her percentage for a quiz as well. Sorry. Right. So she emailed me the screenshot of the results she had in a quiz, and she's got 40 questions done, and she's got 8 that are incorrect. She was working on a past tense in Spanish. So this is how they submit the work. And then the next step, we need to review their targets. So when you've collected all the work they've done, so they're self-marked, self-assessed work, so you don't need to do any marking. So I've shared the subject organizer with them at the beginning. So this one will help them go through all the different statement or all the different areas of improvement, and they just have to write it. So subject evaluation number 1, the students, for instance, for French GCSE class, went through all the statement and put green with the one that she's comfortable with, and then left the other ones orange or the ones that she doesn't know at all red. So that's how she reviewed her target in the end. In the last step, students could either, so you need to set them new targets. So student could either start working on new smart targets using the knowledge organizer with the one that are red, so they can start working on these ones, or orange, or they can keep working on the current target that they have not met. Okay, and lastly, a few tips for you. So make sure that you create your classes on free learning platform that provides self-assessed tasks to reduce your marking, because if you make it easier, for instance, I use all my classes, I use Seneca, quizzes, Quizlet, and Memrise. These are self-assessed tasks on there, so the students literally take a screenshot of that and download it in the Google Classroom, and you don't have to do the marking because it's already there. Another thing that I do often is sharing the useful links that you're using on your Google Classroom so they can access it easily. Or the way I've done it in my Excel document, I've actually inserted the link next to their targets. So all they have to do is to click there and it goes straight to the website, the platform they want to use to improve their targets. And lastly, I try to assign regular tasks on this platform as well to support my lower attainers. So these quizzes and Quizlet Memorize, I've noticed my students will engage with a task. So I either set a flip learning task, something that we'll cover in the following week as a flip learning, or it could be a consolidation task, something we've covered in class. So I find a quiz online, or I create a quiz online, and I've assigned my students this quiz, and they will engage with them really well. So these are my 6 steps to get my students work independently on their target, and setting smart targets and review their targets and submit work to show that they're actually working towards the targets. I hope that was useful. If you have any questions, please drop me an email, and I will see you in the next sessions. Au revoir.